Hi guys. Um, I've been meaning to do this meeting online or face to face, but it looks like we're almost always unable to have a meeting. And even if we could do a meeting, I don't think we would have enough time to discuss each and every one of these. And then I thought maybe I could just do a video presentation for you to share what we have done so far in terms of extensive reading. So we could have a better sharing, like information sharing experience. So here we go. Now, the first thing that we have to understand is that extensive reading is a type of reading. Okay. Normally, if we go down just here, in classrooms, we generally and usually do intensive reading, which is like using a short piece of text and going in detail to that text and just um, doing intensive work with vocabulary and asking questions to the text and getting answers from it. Okay, we almost study it um, in great detail. But there's also another type of reading which is called extensive reading. And extensive reading is usually not done in classrooms. And then they're not part of English language teaching classrooms because of many different reasons. Um, First of all, it's actually really hard to do because you'd need a large library and etc. But it's the type of reading that through which students read a lot and in accordance with their reading level in L2. Okay, so first of all, they have to read a lot, and a lot here means quite a lot, like million words. I will come to that in a minute. And um, they should be doing that uh, on their reading level, and maybe even lower than their reading level. Okay, so according to research, some research, it said that reading a lot, reading as much as 1 million words in L2 is the equivalence of staying abroad for 1 year. So it's that much exposure for the student, and it's that much academic skills for that student as well. And ideally, they can choose what they want to read and when to read, and also how much and how fast. I say ideally because it's not always possible. So you have to design a program where you can do all of these, and you have to take care of each one of these. But I think we're lucky on that sense. And you know, if you have a reader library, you would you would immediately notice that actually it's very small. It's a very small library. Okay, you would have level 3 with 5 books. You would have level 5 with 3 books, and you would have maybe level 7, level let's say intermediate level, and maybe 10 books. But the point is, it's really small. And the kind of reading, extensive reading, is the kind of reading that you have to read a lot, not just 2, 5, 7 books, but also reading more than maybe 100 books. You might ask, how do we do that? Well, through some apps. Okay, we'll come to that in a second. So um, so when to read is also important because like we're human beings and we're not always in the same in the right mood to read. And especially students, some students do not have the habit of reading. Okay, they don't read at all, and maybe not in Turkish as well. And also, how much and how fast is also important, because some students like to read a lot, and some students want to determine how much they read, and of course, they're like how fast they read is um, depending on how fast they can actually read. Okay, this is called extensive reading. Okay, now we shouldn't confuse this one with X reading. So X reading is, um, as you can see, a website, and it's also a mobile reading friendly online graded readers library with a platform for teachers to monitor students' reading progress. Okay, that's a lot to take. So what the students read from here is actually online. Okay, they don't have physical books. This might have advantages and disadvantages, of course, just like everything else in the world. But I think, in our sense, because in Turkey books are like too expensive, they could be expensive, but they're actually too expensive to buy and read. So I think online library is like this is like Netflix. Okay, I always keep that in my mind like that. The next Netflix for ELT students, but also for reading, not for watching. Okay, so this is a library of graded readers. So what it allows us to do is that we can actually have this much graded readers, and we can also have their levels. So this platform help us just determine students' levels and progress using that level system. Okay, so the books, Hocam, you can ask, how do we understand the kids um, actually read the books? Well, they all come with quizzes, and we can make them mandatory for students. So um, the most I think important and advantageous part of X reading for teachers is that it comes with a great um, uh, sophisticated piece of platform that allows teachers to monitor it in great detail. Okay, so for example, um, you would you would know how much the students read because they can take quizzes after um, each book, and they also cannot cheat about this because you can just toggle a button from the platform, and it actually just allows the students to not take the same book at the same time. Okay, so you can say, Hocam, if they take one quiz and they copy their answers to another person, no, it's very unlikely to happen. Okay, and they also choose different books, so they have the freedom to read whichever book they like. Okay, according to their interests. Um, these 14 X reading levels are actually um, redesigned for X reading. So each publisher has their own understanding of levels. Some just put intermediates, pre-intermediates, beginner, etc. Some put numbers, and some put head words on it. So X reading just takes care of that with just under its own leveling system. So having this many levels is actually good. It just shows that um, they have to take just a little more effort to get to the next level. If this was like 5 or 6, it would be really hard to get to the next level, even if they did, because they're gonna have to take so much in terms of reading vocabulary, spelling, grammar, etc., it would be too hard to do. Okay, so 14 levels, if you ask me, is really nice. I would ask for even more. So it has got some features like this and that. I'll actually send you a video from by the founder of X Reading, so you'll actually know how to use it. And but the important part, one of the important parts of this is that just like Turkish books, graded readers are all different in many ways. And the best way to measure reading is word count, because some books are, really, really small, like really thin, and some books are really thick. And if you just go to your student and say, read one book this week, some of the lazy ones go for a thinner books, and those who may like who like reading may go for a little more thicker. So it's not really best way. Okay, so what they do here is that in each one of these books, we know how many words they are going to actually read. Okay, so an average graded reader has 18,000 to 12,000 words in them. Well, this is a very generic number, so you can easily find 1,000 word book, but that's usually for lower levels. And what I personally do is that I give goals to my students to read this many words in this much time. Okay, so that's the basic difference between extensive reading as a philosophical and methodological ELT, let's say, reading, and X Reading is actually a website, an online library for specifically designed for ELT students. Okay, so um, let me take a look at things that I want to do or that I want to tell you. Well, this is actually the introduction. I would really encourage you to go for your own research and learn more. This could only be your introduction. And the good thing is that it's something that we would like to have as a country, because not only for English but also in Turkish, students read really really few books. Okay, they don't read a lot, and statistically, the amount of time for Turkish readers is that, like, it's been counted as seconds. So it could be also thought as a habitual program for students to get the habit of reading in this year. And also they get this if they can keep up with it, and if they can um, um, just do this for Turkish and English and for the rest of their lives. We can also say that we could we could give them a life skill for the rest of their lives. Who knows? And it's also researched a lot. Um, it's been said that it's been found that it helps with vocabulary, grammar, and spelling, and even um, indirectly speaking, because they get so much exposure to books that at some point they're just full of they get some full confidence on what they want to do and what they want to say, so they increase their speaking skills as well. Um, Also, now let me show you how we do it, how we have done it so far, last year and the year before that. The first time I started this was like that. I had a box full of books where I had to carry each box to different classrooms. In that box, I would have graded readers, comics, and etc. But it was really hard to do physically and mentally, and just you couldn't sort it out. So it was obvious that I would personally need a type of technology that took care of this, and I just went for research and found X reading, and I just was convinced that it actually could work, and it's really working in the benefit of students. So through the years, I and Abdurrahman, we just found different ways to do it, and through we went through some problems and challenges, and just we we learned to bypass those problems. So here's how we do it. So school schedule is designed as weeks. So we prepare something like this. So this is a goal sheet, if you want to call it. So in each week, they have a certain number of goals. Okay, this goal applies to all the students. Okay, in the first weeks. So week one, for 1 week until some certain day and time, they have to read this much words. Um, so I after that the day and time comes, I go on X reading. I just count their words and give their grade by coloring their box. Okay, so if you can go on here, it shows that green, blue, purple, and light green. They all good. They're all positive for students, and there's one negative for the students. It is that this just shows incomplete homework. Okay, so um, let's see. This person has read like 7,000 words in the first week, and then just because he read more, 2,000 more words or more than the given goal, I give uh, purple, and 1,000 more is only blue. Okay, and just work done, homework complete, like as it should be, not more, not less. So it's in the yellow area, sorry, green area. Okay, and then in time we see that students actually show their differences in terms of their habits and skills. Okay, some kids like to read more, some kids not so much. This is a boys class, so it's like lots of reds. Also, keep in mind that this was pandemic time, so they were not really motivated, especially if you just look at this part. But I think I can show you the girls too. In my experience, my, my last year boy and girl group are quite different, and and girls usually read more and they're more in time with their homework, and this is how it looks like. So they are different. So what do? I go and change each after like maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and or when I feel that when I'm confident that some students are actually really good or not so good, I change their goals according to person. Now, let's say that we're at week 5 and we're about to give week 6 homework. Okay, so the the class goal is still 7,000. Okay, but for some students, I go for a lower word goal. For some, I do 5,000. For some, I do 3,000, and I do that by looking at how much they have read so far and how many words they have read, and I just do an estimate number of next goal. So if this person, for example, read 3,000 words a week, I go for 3,000 words, and then just if I can see that this person is improving in the next weeks, I just increase the the word goal for that student as well. Okay, so this is a little bit time consuming. You don't have to do it this way, definitely. I don't mean to say you should or you must do it this way, but this is what I've learned over the time that works. Okay, this is working for me. And when I get closer to the end of the term or the end of the year, I give students more chances to recover the red blocks, the incomplete homework weeks here. So this, I can call this a red block. Okay, obviously the red ones are incomplete. Okay, and what I do is that when I say 4-week combo, 4-week green, blue, or purple following one another consistently will get you 1 week recovery from the red. Okay, and they like to do it, and sometimes I just drop it to 1 week green saves 1 week red, and I just play around and try to understand what works for my students, and I try to do my best. So if you ask me, this is also a habitual program. Of course, if you could see that for some students it took some long time to understand what's going on, and they're trying to adaptate to this new thing, because where they come from, maybe it's not common to read in the classroom, etc. Of course, they don't have to read in classroom, but what I do is that for the first weeks, I try to also read in the classroom. I give them like 5 or 10 minutes, like every day, just to get them to prepare or adaptate to this new program. Because if you just give students this amount of number, like word count, and say you should read this much, students kind of are kind of left alone. So because of that, those students who are really good at completing homework, yes, they will do your homework, as you can see. Girls are doing even from the very first week. But for the boys, for example, it's not that much. Maybe some of them don't understand, and sometimes there are some technical problems. They may not have internet or a mobile phone at all. So you're going to have to find ways for students to read. So not everyone is equal in terms of reading skills. So now you have to find a way for students to get better at that. Okay, and there are also super readers. Like this guy was almost never got anything read. Okay, and for these students, the goal is never 7,000 words. Okay, and 7,000 words is not the goal. Actually, it's just the minimum amount of words to be read. Okay, And some students go 15,000, some go 20,000, depending on what they want to do. And yeah, this is pretty much it. And sometimes I forgot to just check their reading homework, and when I do that, if you can see, especially this part, when you just don't check their homework, it gets worse and worse. Students just don't do it, okay? And it's it's definitely working, even for the worst readers, even even for the slowest readers, because of one simple reason. If I, for example, didn't use X reading, they wouldn't be able to read even this much. Okay, so keep in mind that actually um, that these are great numbers. Let's look at the final numbers. Okay, so if you remember, I said so the average reader has 8,000 to 12,000 words, right? So let's say 10,000. It's an easy number to calculate. So this person, this student, actually read 19 books or more, because after um, 29 weeks, we see that 19 books. This is almost worth as much as 19 books. Okay, this is 30 books and more, and um, this is 35 and 56 going on. Okay, so let's find the slowest reader, or yeah, 10. So maybe we can say this person. Okay, I don't even remember who he is or she is, but the point is that without this, they couldn't be able to read even 8 books. Okay, so we're not trying to get them, especially to a very far place. If they could, that would be really nice. But for some students, we come from different walks of life, so it's really hard to orientate to this new reading program. So we just try to help them. Okay, so they can read whenever they like, at home, at school. They would need internet to update their progress, and um, let me just try to remember. So this is a modular program. Actually, it's just you just do what you want to do in the classroom as a main course teacher, but this goes like parallel to what you do in your classroom. Okay, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like you don't have to do it modular. You can mix your class with also X reading, and I also want to recommend you to do so, and I also do like that. For example, you can just, after a few weeks, ask your students to come together in a speaking activity and talk about what they read in that book and the books that they read and which ones they found as their favorite. And this is actually also good for the next weeks, because students, after they share what they find their favorite is and they talk about those books, it actually just helps the other kids to try those new books, even though they wouldn't read that book just because they don't like the cover. Okay, so after learning about what's inside and how fun that is, maybe that could be helpful. Or you can also ask your students to do a dialogue or a small micro drama in the classroom, from one part of the book. or the whole book if you want. So the point is, just do it in an integrated fashion. That's what I would do. That's what I do. You can also share this with skills teachers, Zumut and Sarah. They can also they also can access those books. They can also give homework. Maybe they like to focus on one of these books. Lots of stuff like um, I've come to understand that it works better when it's integrated and when you check those homeworks every single week. And after some time, you learn to find your way through X reading. Okay, so after this is a 12-month subscription for students, so they start now and they can continue even after they finish school, and they continue to read in summer until the 12th month. And this costs $16 for each student for a year. So we could just say that this is a really good deal for students, for Turkish students. Okay, thank you for listening. If you have any other questions, I would like to answer as much as I can. And thank you for listening to me.